Hi everyone. We're just going to make a start in a couple of minutes to give everyone a chance to come along. Let me just make this bigger. So bear with me. We'll make a start just in a couple of minutes. All right. If you just joined, just to reiterate that I'm going to make a start in just a couple of minutes, maybe just a minute or so now, just to give anyone a chance who wants to join us a chance to come along. Okay, that's just gone 3 p.m. in the UK. So I'm just going to make a start, take you through today's live demo, which is testing startup assumptions with Validate. Okay, so whether or not you're familiar with Validate or whether you're hearing about Validate for the first time in the run up to this YouTube live, then you can book a free one-to-one personalized demo for you or any of your colleagues using the QR code on the screen just now, or by using that link at the bottom, which allows you to book a demo with myself or one of my colleagues in there as well. So it's not just restricted to, it says one-to-one personalized demo, but if you want to invite colleagues along to the demo, that's absolutely fine. And if you see the product in more detail and it's not something that aligns with what you're trying to do, that's absolutely fine as well. But the demo is there for you. Right, so we're talking about Validate, which is a product which allows you to plan an idea and develop a startup idea, put the idea through the business model canvas, which is internationally recognized template or business model. Allows you to create this nice portfolio, which makes it very easy to share your complete idea with any interested parties, whether they be potential teammates, potential investors, potential customers, funding bodies, etc. Very easy to share that. But you'll notice in between there on the left-hand side of the screen, in between creating the business model canvas and sharing your portfolio, there is this thing about testing assumptions. So that's the third step of Validate. Ideate, plan, test, and share. So the validate part of Validate is what we're talking about today in terms of thinking about any assumptions that we've made and then testing using a variety of different methodologies to see whether your test was, or your assumption, sorry, was valid or whether it was invalid or whether still not sure about that after you've conducted a test, which is absolutely fine. So why Validate is ideal for education? So it has real world applications. So a lot of our clients and myself in the past in my previous life as a lecturer appreciate that Validate allows you to kind of test out or to come up with real ideas, whether or not these ideas ever come to fruition or not outside of an academic setting is another matter altogether. But it can be a very realistic way of students coming up with an idea from scratch, or using a preset idea that's been given to them, and really thinking about all the things that would need to be done and would need to be sourced in order for that idea to become a reality in the form of a business, or a new branch of a business, or even something as simple as just an event. So Validate can be used to really get plan in depth all those different aspects. It encourages critical thinking. So the testing functionality is essential to that, because it does encourage you to back up your assumptions, to research those along with evidence that can be used in decision making. We'll go into that in a bit more detail when I get to show you the software. Flexible learning. Validate is entirely browser based, and as such, it works anywhere with an internet connection. It can be used as a tool for individual learning, but also for team-based activities. So students can work in teams to create a business model canvas. They can work in teams to be working on separate tests at the same time, and they can all work together on their portfolio, or that can all be done individually. And it's not a decision you need to make right from the offset, because Validate will allow students to have multiple projects, perhaps some that they're working on alone, and some that they're working on together with teammates that they've been assigned through their class, etc. Another idea of going on to active engagement, briefly just talking about how it does allow you, as an educator, to give feedback to the students in real time. So you can feedback directly on all aspects of the canvas, on things within the portfolio that they've come. So you can have a conversation with students, regardless of their geographical location, just by using the platform itself, back and forth with kind of instant messages in there as well. And then at the bottom there we have skills development, which is a point I seem to be talking about Validate as if it's something strictly for an educational setting, but that's not true, because we have clients who use this in a corporate setting. So instead of educator, we're talking about trainer, and those departments as well. Enterprise bodies, big companies who've used Validate as well, and I've been delivering some of those workshops over the last year or two as well. So it does build entrepreneurial and strategic thinking skills, no matter what kind of setting you find yourself in. If you're a first-year student, if you're a high school student even, or if you're been in your career for a long time and you're thinking about developing entrepreneurial skills, it can be a very useful way, a very useful tool to help you achieve your aim in that regard as well. All right, so proven impact and results. I've just told you that it can be used in corporate settings, but you'll see that all these examples here in terms of case studies, testimonials are from the academic sector here. But we've got Trudy Murray, who's working at Munster Technological University in Ireland. We've got Robert Wilson from the Open University in the UK, and then Dr. Amanda Berry at Loughborough. And I could give you a couple of minutes to read these, but because this is YouTube Live, once I've finished, it'll be uploaded as a video. So please feel free to skip past my introduction and go straight to these. They're also all available on our website at the bottom there, which is you'll see www.simventure.com, and you can look at that as well. Right, so going back to Validate, talking about measurable outcomes using Validate. So how this would help is to align some measurable outcomes along with the clear. So, for example, the clear articulation of business ideas. So it's all very well to say you've got an idea for a business, and then when it comes down to explain what it is, it can get a bit muddled, and the idea might be very clear in the student's or the learner's head, but when it comes to actually putting it down through the template, it can really help to get that straight and clearly articulated as well. A completed business model canvas, and that in itself is a measurable outcome, and Validate allows you to see exactly what percentage of the way through towards a completed canvas the student happens to be. And having completed a business model canvas is evidence that the person, the student or the learner has thought about aspects as varied as what materials they're going to need, who they're trying to appeal to in terms of which customer segments, what their USP is in there, what competitors exist within the marketplace, finances, whether revenues and costs, etc in there, and even how their idea aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So the range of things they have to think about is quite diverse, and I think it's a real measurable outcome in terms of this kind of thing that they have completed a canvas in there as well. The third one is particularly relevant. So we're talking about validating customer and market assumptions. So this is where we can use the testing functionality that exists within Validate. It's not a magic button where Validate will tell you whether you were right or wrong to make a certain assumption, but it gives you the directions to the tools that you'll need to go about doing that. Startup portfolio showcasing progress and insights. So again, this is where everything's brought together in kind of one scrollable page, which contains everything from basic information about your idea, whether that be bios and pictures of the team that brought everything together, to the fully clickable business model canvas within there, details of any tests that you've conducted, and a whole range of other things, along with practical things like contact details, if you're talking about a real business being generated through Validate, which has happened in there as well. So a nice portfolio for you that's easily shareable, being the key thing of that. It can be downloaded as a Word document or a PDF, but it can also be shared with a unique link just by clicking two buttons. So very quickly able to get your idea out there to interested parties. Peer and educator feedback. So working teams, obviously you can give feedback directly there. People can leave comments on their portfolio if they're working in teams, but also the educator, like I said before, can have a two-way conversation with the students on any aspect of the canvas in there as well. And lastly, which is not to be underestimated, evidence of teamwork and an entrepreneurial mindset. Entrepreneurial mindset comes from engaging with Validate and thinking about an idea and taking it forward through all the different aspects of the business model canvas. But teamwork, and I know a lot of people in roles such as my old one, working at a university, struggle sometimes with team-based modules because it can be problematic in a number of different ways, and not all students enjoy them either. Sometimes there's a mismatch in terms of, or an unbalanced team in terms of people pulling your weight, which is a real problem, and it's difficult to mitigate that. And there's obviously other problems, but it can be a very positive experience for the students, as I'm sure you'll agree. And I've always enjoyed kind of trying to incorporate that into my own classes. And what's good about Validate is it does help you dig down into the kind of granular detail about who did what and how much time was spent on the system. And you can read communications between the students in there as well. So it's good for keeping on top of that kind of thing. Alrighty. So before I launch into showing, into Validate, just a reminder that you can, get started by scanning that QR code if you're not working with us presently, and I can arrange a demo with myself or one of my colleagues in there as well. It can be, very brief or a bit more in depth, depending on what you like. And like I said, we're not going to hound you if it ends up not being something that you're interested in. But I think Validate has got a wide range of uses, and I think, it's a very powerful tool that I have enjoyed using myself. Alrighty, so give me a second. I'm not too experienced at doing these YouTube live things, so let me just try and put that there. Well, that worked first time. There we go. So now we're looking at Validate. So when a student comes to do their own idea, I'll just show you how that works by creating a new project. And we'll call this YouTube Live. Unfortunate typo there. So I'll create the project, and you'll see that by default we'll have a blank canvas. We have before we even get down to the canvas, we have this ideation section, which allows users to brainstorm. I'm not going to go through that today, and I have done other sessions where we talk about how that works. But just to give you a kind of brief idea, you'll see that the ideation section works by picking images from our image bank, choosing 6 different images that inspire you in some way, and then narrowing 6 down to 3 down to 1 using a range of different things in there as well. So I'll just delete that because I'm not going to use it. After they've come up with an idea through the ideation process, and like I said, if you do want a demo of that, please do scan the QR code or get in touch via the website, and I can do that. Then they move on to the canvas, and I was just talking with somebody today who's going to be using Validate for the first time in in September when the new term starts, but in the UK anyway. But he was telling me that it's very important to him and to the structure of his class that the students are free to kind of approach the canvas in any way they want, or at least for it to be flexible in how they turn to approach that. So you'll see that Validate will suggest starting with customer segments, but that's not to say you have to start there. If you want to start with the value proposition, you can click on that and get straight to work. So just a kind of brief idea of how that starts. If you want to start anywhere, so I clicked on value proposition. You'll see the different steps you need to do down the kind of left-hand side of the page. So it starts off with defining our product and thinking about the features of that. You've got a worked example in there as well to look at. You've got case studies, as we've been through before, of 8 different companies from a range of different sectors and how they would have completed that one very specific element of the canvas. So products, what is our product or our solution, and what are the features of that in there too. A little bit of competitor analysis, and I'll guide you through how to go about doing that in there too. A unique selling point in terms of what's our USP in there as well. And you can have more than one unique selling point in there. And then, like I said before, the case studies are reflective of the exact subsection of Validate that you're looking at. So the case study here about this Edinburgh-based robotics company, talking about the USP. If I went back to competitor analysis, you'll see that this changed completely to reflect what I'm looking at. And it's not just robotics companies, we've got fashion companies, we've got coffee companies, we've got health-based companies in there too. So a lot of different, of diverse range of case studies for the students to look at. So that was value proposition, but equally, if they wanted to start with customer segments, which makes a lot of sense, then they can do that. And it's a bit simpler in terms of the number of different steps, but there is probably a bit more information needed to complete the section. So we're thinking about 2 steps: defining our customer segment and creating a persona for them. So I've been guilty of setting a task to create a very detailed persona before, and sometimes it gets a bit too specific. So I like to keep things kind of not vague, but at a kind of higher level than perhaps I've done before. So Validate taught me how to do that, to be honest, and what makes a kind of a good level of persona for the purposes of building a business model canvas. So yeah, once again, a worked example here. These are separate to the case studies that I showed you before. Every section of Validate has these worked examples, which are real life companies, once again, and how they would have completed this section in here too. Moving on, you can see defining my customers. I don't have any in here just now, but I can have as many customer segments as I want. Think about who, what segment of people are going to engage with my product or my service. Are they a business to business, business to customer or consumer type of segment, or is it a B2B segment, business to business? Depending on what I picked, age range or number of employees that the company employs, to get a kind of age range or size range of that customer segment, and then a brief description. And like I said, you can have as many as these as you want. I think up to 4 in this case. Next on to the persona. It's just about goals, frustrations, and what problem we're solving for them as well. So we do that for each of the segments that we created in the previous step. And then finally, we get a little summary of that, and we can upload an image to reflect what that customer segment looks like. So that's how creating the canvas works. And once again, I'll just reiterate, if you want to know more about how sustainability section works, for instance, or the costs and revenues, or any of these sections, just drop me a line. We'll book a demo using the link or the website. Right, so let me go back to a completed example. So you'll see now that the students have engaged with not just the ideation section in terms of coming up with an idea, but also have populated this business model canvas. And you'll see the two sections we talked about: value proposition is summarized there as a sentence, and customer segments. We can see that this group, because we've got two different students here at the top, you'll see that this all students have access to this kind of drop-down list. Obviously, they're not going to have 20 different projects by default, but if I look here, for example, that's the student working on that by themselves, but they can have any number of projects and any combination of people that they're working on those projects with, or just by themselves as well, and there too. Anyway, I get getting sidetracked. So the value proposition, the customer segments here, they don't look very detailed, but as I always say, just click on them and it opens up into a kind of much more well-rounded, detailed section of the canvas. In this case, value proposition, looking at the things that we briefly looked at there. What solution are we offering? What are the key features of that solution? And what is our unique selling point? Also, we can have competitor analysis down here as well, which we've done. So, what my business idea in this case is, or what the example business idea is, not important really. So this can be applied to any kind of business model. But looking at the customer segments there, you're going to see that it's just a name and an age range. But if I click on those, you'll see that they are more fleshed out once again behind the scenes, talking about description. This one's Generation X and Y. There's young people between 18 and 40 in there, got their goals, frustrations, and what problems are we solving for them, which constitutes that persona that we talked about. Scrolling down, we've got another segment, which again is a business to consumer segment, and it's thoughtful families. And there we've got that kind of persona down there too. So the reason I'm showing you this in a little bit of detail before I even get to the testing is just to, it doesn't really make any sense if I dive straight into testing and showing you how to do that, because we haven't thought about what we're testing. But what I wanted to show to you is that in the process of completing this canvas, we've thought about everything from who our partners are going to be, what activities are needed. But no matter how much research and discussion and asking for help, looking at exemplars, etc., reading the case studies, there are always going to be assumptions made in terms of what when we come to completing a canvas, and that's the same with most business modeling tools. There's going to be assumptions that we've made in there, which are key to the business being successful or not. So testing those assumptions is quite a valuable activity, in my opinion, and Validate allows you to do that. So we're going to finally get to the point. So ideation was the first step, the canvas the second step, and then testing is the third step. So in here, you can see that in my example, there's already been 2 tests conducted. One of them was, we can see some brief details here about what they were. So we've got the test type as an interview, which is scored as being evidence rating of 3 out of 5, which is more than the kind of general research down here, but it doesn't always, the stars are not always exactly aligned with what I would expect, but you'll see how that works soon. So the assumption here is that multinationals will partner with my business and disclose impact information for their products. The business model canvas blocks tested as key partners, and then we have judged that after conducting this interview, that our assumption was valid there too. So if I click into that, you can see a little bit more detail. So I've got our assumption as an interview. So the plan for that test was at an upcoming conference for speak to various chief sustainability officers. It must be quite easy to get access to them in this universe, and see their appetite to partner with us. Any kind of evidence to do with transcripts, etc., can go in there. In this case, because it's an interview, any kind of analysis of the data that's been gathered can be uploaded in here too. And in this case, the result was that there was some appetite, but best of all, we learned that there's already a lot of information in the public domain when it comes to getting the information around impact of their products. One second. Sorry. All right, so close that down. The second example was this one here about some general research to test the assumption that customers will want to use this app and it will solve a problem for them. So it's quite vague in terms of an assumption, to be honest. The business model canvas blocks that we're testing are customer segments and value proposition. If I click on that to get some more information, so the assumption is that customers want to use the app. Test plan is to look at competitors and how many users they have, which, quite solid plan there, even though it's one short sentence. And the test results is there's not really big competitors, although there's a few startup candidates in the market space already. So the feed on from that test results maybe doesn't belong here, but this is means that time is precious and competition could potentially be big down the line. So if anything, what they learn from their test is that there is the information they need out there, and there is a need for this, or there is the fact that people have been funded to do this would suggest that there is a need, and also that time is of the essence, and they better get started soon if they want to be first to market or one of the first to market in there too. So that's two tests. There's no limit of the number of tests that can be conducted for an idea. It probably is a limit, but I haven't found it. But you can do a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. So any one of these segments or sections of the business model canvas can be tested. And to do that, we just navigate to testing, and then we go to create new test. We'll come back to show you what quick test means. But once I've done that, validate will give me an introduction to the concept of testing, which if you're a bit more experienced, you might not even need to read that. You can skim through. But we've got the 4 steps to testing, which are, critical assumptions. What are the assumptions that we're making that that they're incorrect could kill our startup? Have we, the one that we just looked at, do people actually want this? Is quite an important thing to ask, because otherwise we could sink a lot of time and resources into bringing something to market that nobody wants to engage with. So it could be that. That could kill our startup. There's any number of other ones in there that we're just not going to be able to get the resources that we need to make our idea come to life. We might not be able to get a relationship with the partners that we need to, etc. So it could be any number of things. Next, once we've identified key assumptions, how will we investigate this assumption? Pick from a variety of different methods to do that. Plan our test, so we create a test plan, give it the most detail that we can to give us the greatest chance of success. And then finally, run the test, analyze the results, what did we learn and what should happen next. So as with all sections of Validate, when we're looking at the canvas, within the testing section, we have an idea of an example of a real company who has conducted a test. So this one here is from a company called Change Please. So this is a test saying that they believe that customers will pay slightly more for a coffee that matches the quality and convenience of alternatives, but also delivers social value through tackling homelessness. So I admit I don't know a great deal about this business, but the BMC blocks that they're testing are the customer segments, the value proposition, and the resources in there as well. So the plan for this test was to interview founders of successful social enterprises within the food and drink sector. The aim, identify effective ways of appealing to ethically minded consumers, especially when it comes to asking them to pay a little bit more for a product with social impacts. And then the test results, they conducted 3 interviews. All of them emphasized a change in consumer behavior over the past few years, with many more people searching for ways to buy socially minded products or socially conscious products and paying more for it. So, you can read a little bit more about the results of the test there, but that's just a worked example for students or learners in there. And as you'll see, there's a lot of that throughout Validate. So that's a bit of an introduction to testing. And then, as we've talked about, the first step being critical assumptions. So when we move on to that, we've got a list of different assumptions that we can test, ranging from, we talked about that, are we solving a problem that customers care about, which is within the customer segments block, but also within there we could say, have we identified the correct group of customers to target? So if you remember back to my example, I had Generation X and Y as one segment. I had families or thoughtful families as another segment in there too. So you could think about ways that you could test if those people want to engage with this. It could also be things like, are cost assumptions correct? So that could be really disastrous if you've massively under anticipated how much something's going to cost. When it comes down to it, there's just not the funds in place to make that happen, etc. So it could be any one of those assumptions, or it could be none of them. So going down, we think about what is our assumption and what block does it apply to. So it's completely free form here. You don't need to use any of these examples in here as well. But because my idea, I'll admit that wasn't my idea, that I put it down. So perhaps I'll just copy this one here. So have we identified the correct group of customers to target? I'll paste that in there. And then I can just add at the end, i.e. Gen X and Y. Oops. And thoughtful families in there. So that applies to customer segments. I'm sure it might apply to some of these others if I thought about it for a while. But I'm just going to press next because I really want to show you all the different choices that you have. So when it comes to choosing our test now, how we're going to test our assumption, you've got 6 different kind of methodologies built into Validate. And like I said, it's not got a magic button. It's not going to just do these tests for you. It's still some legwork needs to be done even after you've chosen what kind of test you need to do. So the first one here is building a homepage. It's a very simple homepage. So it tells customers what you want to do and why that's important. And it comes to when I think about making a homepage, often, I would think I don't know how to do that because I don't know how to use HTML. I don't know how to, I'm not a web developer. I've never done that in my life. I've got colleagues and friends who could do that very easily, but for me, absolutely not. So when it comes to building a homepage within Validate, you'll be pleased to know that it's all based on a template, and Validate will just give you a link to that template that you can share. So going down, we have the option to build a kind of more detailed homepage. So using these 4 different tools in here, and these are external to Validate, so I'm not going to go into these because I'm, to be honest, not entirely familiar with how to use those tools, but they are image banks and things like that that can help you to build a more kind of extensive homepage than maybe what I'm going to show you. But to build our homepage from Validate, we've got 4 different styles and layouts. We can add an image and some text. We can preview the page and we can share the link. So here we are. Here's our template at the top. So remember, I'm going to try and test assumptions. So Generation X and Y, thoughtful families. Maybe choose one of these templates. It doesn't really matter exactly which one I'm going to do. So this one here, company name, I can't forget what it's called, so I'm just going to call this one Ben's Beautiful. I can't even spell that. Can't spell business when people are watching me type. So there we go. Add a bold headline. A great business for you and me. I'll explain my business idea and why it's awesome. So I think this was to do with some sort of socially conscious app here. So this is an app to help decide whether sourced in ethical ways. I mean, it could be anything in there. So I'm just writing down an example, and then key features. So about something like extremely, I'm sure, I don't have a great deal of experience doing this myself. So extremely user-friendly, wide-ranging database of sustain. Another one, free to use. I don't know why it would be free to use, but I couldn't think of anything else at the time. So here we go. So if I preview my page, before I do that, I've got the option here. You'll notice to upload an image. So let me just do that. It just tend to hang there, but if I just go backwards and forwards, I think that might work. There we go. So you see that this logo here for Ben's Beautiful Business has been created. That didn't happen with Invalidate, I'll be honest. I spent hours trying to come up with that, and myself, and I certainly didn't use any kind of AI tool to help me with that. But look at the preview of my page here, so you'll see that you get this message. Once I send this link to somebody, they'll get this message. So you've been invited to participate in a short test. If I explore that, you'll get into my kind of home page, and you'll ask them what they like about, etc. So what they like about this product or service. So everything. Next, what do you wish was different? Nothing. What suggestions do you have to improve this product or service? I can't think of anything just now, so again, I'll put nothing. And then the final one, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this to others? So I'll put that. But you scroll down before I do that, you'll see that this format is not really going to work. So it's good that I did that because I can barely read that text. So I need to think of a different way of doing this before I sent this out, and I could choose one of the other templates to make this more readable in there as well. So I will press on submit, and it takes me back there. So that's a good way of getting data for some things, what they like about certain aspects of the business. I could have prompted them a little bit in this text here to tell them what they liked, but for the purposes of testing my assumption around customer segments, probably not ideal because they don't have to tell me their name, let alone what generation they fit into or whether or not they're part of something that constitutes a thoughtful family, etc. So perhaps not a great way to test my assumption initially there. So instead of doing that, but before I navigate away from here, just to reassure you that there is a wide variety of these 8 different case studies and how they would have tested something using this homepage functionality as well. So it's very useful to test certain things, to get very quick feedback just by sending that link to people in there as well. So I can copy the link and just send that in to anyone they want, and when they paste that into a browser, they'll be able to see my homepage straight away. Doesn't matter if they've ever heard of Validate before or not. Going back to choose my test, so as you'll see, there's a variety of different ways to do this. So research, for instance, sounds like quite a vague term, but if I clicked on do research, you'll see that it does introduce what's already there, but it helps me to look at some external tools that I might be able to use to conduct some research. So once again, I can come up with my research plan using anything ranging from Google Trends right through to Statista, YouGov, etc., to look at data in there. Or even, I don't have a great understanding of all of these tools, but I'm sure you could formulate a plan to conduct some general or specialist research using one of those external tools in there as well. So let me just go back to choose my test. You see that evidence is ranked. So for homepage and research, these are both rated as 1 star out of 5 in terms of the quality of information you're going to get. So when it comes to testing my assumption with the homepage, testing customer segments is not ideal or the one assumption I had around customer segments is not ideal. But if I just wanted to get feedback on, is this something that people want? I should think the evidence from them answering those questions about what they like about and what they want to change is stronger in that case than it would be if I was asking my question about have I identified the correct customer segment. So you have to really try and plan ahead and think about what test works for the particular assumption that you're trying to test. Same with research as well in there too. Looking at surveys, so now I'm sure we're all familiar with what the concept of a survey is, but this is rated at 2 stars out of 5 just because in general it's going to be able to formulate your own questions. So instead of just asking what they like about my idea, I can now ask them what generation do you belong to, and also are you interested in this idea? And there you go. I've got a survey that asks exactly what I want to find out for me. So in here, it gives you the ideas of 4 different types of survey, ranging from kind of discovery survey, open-ended questions, this or that kind of survey of A, B, or even this one here, so survey about customer segments in particular. So you could do that. Ranking surveys as well. When it comes to actually doing the survey, we've linked to to external survey sites. So, I haven't tested this myself in the very near past, but at one point, all of these tools that we highlight on Validate had free options. So some of them will have premium options that you have to pay for as well, but the functionality shouldn't be completely locked behind paywall. So you should be able to use these free options of these, but I'm not going to stand by that because it's been a while since I clicked on all of these links. But if they don't work, these are just suggestions, nothing to stop you from using the survey software that you like to use and that you've used before, or just doing it, yourself without using any kind of web-hosted external tools in there too. An interview, once again. So this takes us through what kind of interviews we could possibly conduct, ranging the quality of evidence of as 3 out of 5, because whether or not we're interviewing people online or face to face, we're going to get more of an idea of the kind of tone behind the answers as well, which can be quite important in there too. So when it comes to conducting interviews, as you would expect, this gives us some links to tools that give us guidance about conducting effective interviews in there, even generating a script for an interview in there. So a good when you have conducted an interview, if you want to use it as a test, chances are you've taken notes. These can be converted into some sort of document that transcribes everything that was talked about during the course of that interview as well. So what this allows you to do is, as well as uploading an interview plan, you can also, not just within here, but also within the results section, you can maybe, in the case of an interview, in here, you could upload a kind of set of questions that you're planning on asking, along with branching questions in there as well, depending on how a previous question was answered. That could be uploaded. The plan could be, quite detailed in here as well. And when you get to the results, you can upload transcripts of completed interviews in there too. So I will cover the last 2 tests in the last couple of minutes that we have, but just while we're on the screen, once you have entered the results of any test that you've done and summarized things here, uploaded supporting documents, you can then decide to judge whether or not your assumption was valid, whether it was invalid. So in my case, it would be like, yeah, I've got some evidence to support the fact that Generation X and Y, thoughtful families are interested in my product and they'll want to engage with it. If I wanted to say that was invalid, I've got evidence to the contrary to that, that they're not interested in that. Perhaps it could be a surprise demographic that I hadn't thought of, or a segment that came out of my testing that I could then pivot and rewrite the section on. Or it could be unsure. Nothing was conclusive, and that's fair enough. I'm free to tinker with a test and run it again, run a different kind of test, etc. Going back to choose your test, because there's 2 things I haven't spoken about yet, and one of them is prototyping. So unfortunately, you can't just type in what you want into Validate, and it'll generate a prototype for you. But it will allow you to, direct you to tools that could help you bring a product, if it's a physical product, to bring that to life in some form or another. It doesn't have to be a finished kind of model. Or if it's a service, prototyping that through various ways as well. It could be a bit more complicated, but there's tools there to help that, to do that as well. And then the final means of testing is to test by selling. So before I do a full launch of my idea, perhaps I'll just try and sell it on a kind of more limited front. I could think about offering significant discounts to get started, any kind of thing to kind of test by selling. And you've got a range of different things there as well. You can do build an online shop. You can put a pop-up. I imagine that would be quite expensive in most places around here. Sell your idea before it's ready to ship. So even though your company doesn't fully exist, you can test things out by providing those services or products on a kind of more limited basis. Or you could gauge demand by selling something before it even exists in the world of crowdfunding. So not that I'm disparaging that in any way, but it's something that's quite popular and it can be done as well. So, prototyping and selling has the highest quality of evidence. So, if people have actually paid money for either, an early version of your product or service, or have put their name down and funded in anticipation of getting that product or service when it launches, which is quite often the case with crowd uh, funding, then it shows you that there is interest there for your product. So it's quite strong evidence that when the product is properly launched, that it can be successful. So that's how it works in terms of all these different testing methodologies. So I kind of wanted to get into how this links into your portfolio, but just to give you a quick glance, because I know we're almost out of time here, just to show you that once we log into our portfolio, we've chosen options, we've uploaded banner images, etc. We've got bios of our team, we've got the business model canvas in there too. Down below that, you see that all these tests kind of are available for us to look at. If I'm an educator, I can quickly scroll through the students' ideas and see them as well, and look to see what kind of supporting evidence they've uploaded in here, what they thought the results of their tests were, etc. So it can be quite a powerful way of doing that as well. So I'm sorry that I'm out of time. Perhaps I could have covered certain aspects in more detail, but let me just put this back up here once again. So if you do want to get any more detail, if you want to chat things through with me or one of my colleagues, you might be bored of the sound of my voice after this video, but do scan the QR code or contact us at the email address provided, which is comms@simventure.co.uk, or you can book a one-to-one demo with us just at that link or via the QR code there as well. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be one-to-one. Colleagues and other interested parties more than welcome as well. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And forgive me if I stay on the line, but I usually wait for confirmation that everything's up to date before I finish the stream. But thanks very much for tuning in. Thank you.